anticlimax that was. If you're expecting six hitting because we're back at the 1K Day Stadium, well, guess again, because not a single six was hit in 20 overs of the Delhi Capitals innings. 147 is what they've managed against Rajasthan Royals. So this is clearly more in the Chennai school of conversations in this year's IPL. This is ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Let's go to Irfan Pathan and ask him how excited he was watching left-arm bowlers trouble batsmen, because it looked like something which we're not used to seeing at the 1K Day Stadium. Irfan, 147, make sense of that.
रहने दे.
Look, first of all, I always said left is right. Where you talk, we were talking about in the pre-show as well, how they try to use the left armers and how they can use the angle, and they did really, really well. They started really well, and I think Sakaria's first over, which only went for 2 runs, set the tone for them as well, because it created a doubt on the batsman's mind that there is something happening. That second ball came in and hit Prithvi Shaw. And then after that, there was no looking back as far as the bowling is concerned, and run rate as well. And they kept losing wickets. And if you are around 37 for 4, it's very hard for you guys, for anyone, to be honest, to actually to look to score close to 200. Still, this pitch is not. It's not the same pitch as at what we have seen it before. There is something in it for the bowlers. Ball is moving around a bit. Even slow ones are gripping a bit.
So did this take the Delhi batsmen as much by surprise, Dan, as well as it took all of us? This is not a traditional, certainly not the pitch like the last one at the 1K Day Stadium.
Yeah, it looked like Delhi wanted to continue on their ways from the last game. You saw Shaw come out and look pretty loose, but I suppose just playing his natural game, Shikhar Dhawan and continuing on. But I think once those two got out, then you could see that there was a change, and they were expecting. There's always an expectation around those two scoring big, and when they didn't, and then Pant didn't look as fluent later on, it really changed for Delhi. And so I think they didn't adjust to the surface changes and just expected to bat like they had been previously.
Okay, could they have played any differently? We'll come to that in a minute. But before that, I must be very happy for Jaydev Unadkat. Irfan, what a story he's had in the IPL. Went for big money, after which didn't have the best seasons, found his way out of the playing 11 for Rajasthan last season, and comes back in for their second game. And this is the Jaydev Unadkat we've seen a lot of before. You must be very happy for him.
Brilliant comeback by this left armer. Look, he has been into a lot of criticism by a lot of people, when especially what happens in the auction, because and one thing I always believe, that player don't ask for the big money, but if he's getting it, it's good for him. And look, whenever a left arm bowler or any bowler does well, makes me really happy. And especially the way he bowled today. Look, he used his variation really, really well, and he was trying to hit the ball really hard as well when he was trying to hit the ball in the middle of the pitch. And all the variation, whichever he was trying, it was working really well. And especially if you get wickets early in your spell, it gives you a lot of confidence. And then there was no looking back afterwards. So even all the three left armers, they bowled really well tonight. And certainly this spell of his bowling of Jaydev Unadkat will give him a lot of confidence going forward in this IPL. And it's good for Rajasthan Royals as well. Then that gives a lot of confidence in him. At the same time, Jofra Archer not being there will make it a lot easier now for them to play these two Indian left-armers in the playing side.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? This is the sort of performance that raised Jaydev Unadkat's price tags at auctions a couple of seasons back, Dan, and it all didn't seem to go according to plan since. But this is the best of Unadkat on a pitch which assists him a little bit. He was virtually unplayable.
Yeah, and I thought I was impressed with the way Sanju Samson used him. I think the 3 overs up top, I wasn't expecting that. I thought they'd give him 2 and then hold him back from the end. And then he finished off his 10 overs, I think. Finished off his 4 overs inside 12 overs. So they really look to attack with him. And sometimes as a seam bowler, when you're coming back and maybe under a little bit of pressure, to actually finish all your overs before the death overs gives you so much confidence. And you could see that the way Unadkat was running in, the way, like Irfan said, the way he uses variations, and most importantly, the lengths he continued to hit, and he never gave up on them, even to Pant. Pant's always an intimidating batsman to bowl against, but his first ball to him was right on the money for the hat-trick ball, and then he never gave up on those right lines and lengths.
So was there a case for Delhi to just reassess how they wanted to bat on this, or did they just feel like they wanted to carry on from the last game? They have guys like Dhawan, Rahane, and both of them got out playing like you would on any T20 surface. Did they were they guilty of just misassessing things, Dan? Could they have done better after they saw the first couple of overs, but it isn't as easy?
It's so hard. You're at Wankhede. The expectations, like we talked about before the game, is 200, 200. And so to put that out of your mind is tricky. And it'd be fascinating to see what was spoken about at those strategic timeouts, whether they reassessed and said 160, 180. But I think whenever you go there, you're always expecting that high score. Even though they've got this lower score now, I still think they'll feel confident about defending it because they have seen the wicket and how it played. And so the wicket is the thing that's changed. It's the commentators on TV said it looked similar to the other night, but I think you've got to accept that the wicket was slowing up, and you see how those slow balls were so difficult. So Delhi weren't able to reconsider their total, but I still think they've got a total that could be defended.
So is this really a pitch that has deceived everyone, Irfan? Otherwise, there'd be no sense to drop a batsman and play the extra bowler. But clearly, Delhi have just thought this is how it's going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was not a single sixth in this inning. It never happened in Wankhede before in the IPL. This is the first time that has happened. So which is very, very surprising the way the pitch has played. Even guys like Rishabh Pant got half century and no six. So it shows that it wasn't that easy for batsmen to just get going. And so yes, Delhi must be looking back and thinking, should we had Shimron Hetmeyer in this side in the playing 11? But looking back, 37 for 4, I think Shimron Hetmeyer would not have done too much either.
Yeah, with due respect to Shimron Hetmeyer, I can see that point. Now, Rishabh Pant still, even on a day that it's been hard for people to bat, you could see, Dan, that this is a guy who's come in with some form. He's not hit his sixes over mid-wicket as much as today's occasion demanded boundaries to the offside, but Pant looks like a guy who means business this season.
Yeah, I think there's some maturity to his innings. I think he'd be very glad that Tiwatia bowled to him. I think traditionally you see him try and take him over that cow long on region, but he sat in his crease and waited for a bad ball, and then he placed those shots through the offside. He hit the ball so hard as well, and he almost toyed with the field. So it's a very impressive Rishabh Pant, and people will align it to the captaincy, but I think it's come before that. I think it's come with him playing in some pretty pressurised situations and having confidence in his own game. And he's really starting to play well. And I think that number 4 position, being able to assess what's happened in front of him, has really helped his batting.
It looks like there are runs boundaries for Pant on the offside as well, Irfan, whereas bowlers initially thought keep him away from his arc and you can keep him quiet. That seems to have changed about Rishabh.
Yeah, he's holding his shape really, really nicely, and that's what making him play on the offside much better. And that's what we have talked about when he was playing against England as well in that one-day series, where he was holding it so nicely, waiting for the ball a lot more than what he used to do it before. So that was making it different. He's getting mature also. Look, he's the kind of batsman who knows that he has so many shots around the ground that he can actually come out at any time and hit those big ones. So he knows and he understands his ability much more now. So that's why he's waiting patiently as well. That's why more of the shots now on the offside, but along the ground as well.
Okay, so now it looks like 148 should be the chasing team's game, but stranger things have happened in the last 2 days in the IPL, yes, at Chennai. Irfan, is this going to be straightforward, or can Delhi's bowlers make a fight out of this target?
It will be all depend on how they bowl with the new ball. Early wickets will be the key, but I think it's very, very difficult to defend this sort of total at Wankhede. So I will go with the side who's chasing at the moment, Rajasthan Royals.
Dan, final words?
Well, I think Delhi selected that extra bowler because they knew they'd have such a low total to defend. It goes against everything we talked about this other game, depending on the wicket. But that Delhi bowling lineup, led by Rabada, Avish Khan, the way he bowled in the last game, Chris Wokes as well, if they can start well and put some pressure and dismiss Sanju and Josh Butler, if all those things happen, then they have a chance of defending it. But very difficult.
Yeah, but it is Josh Butler and Sanju Samson coming out, so no surprises.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Sanju Samson. Just making sure it is Manan Bora that is coming up. But Josh Butler is the player that's been given the nod to open, so no surprises. That's been confirmed, right? Let's pick up the chat with Dan and Irfan at the end of the game. And remember, we're playing the Intel Fastest Fan First contest with our guests every day of the IPL. So on the pre-show, you can catch them answering their questions. And while you're watching the IPL, just head over to the ESPN Cricket for Facebook page and check out more. Plenty of great prizes to be won if you get some questions right on the Intel Fastest Fan First page, right? Butler back at the top. Let's see if this is easy enough for him and Samson and the rest. Otherwise, we should have another great conversation at the end of the game on ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Rajasthan eyeing their first points. They need 148 to get.